The regular season for the 1UP Superstar Series is winding down fast. There's only 3 races remaining until the playoffs get underway, with 15 drivers set to battle it out for the championship after Daytona, the regular season finale. But before that, we've got 32 laps at Watkins Glen International to navigate first. This is a beautiful road course in upstate New York, a track we know very well from previous races here, and I'm sure this is going to be no different. A very exciting day ahead of us at Watkins Glen. And alongside me to bring you all the action once again is James Ellison for today's race. And we've done something a little different with Watkins Glen this time around. We made it a doubleheader with the Truck Series, whose race was earlier today. We brought a smaller fuel cell and softer tires to encourage more pit stops in this race, and boy, are we expected to have a lot of them here today. But my biggest question remains, who is going to show us that they are ready to challenge for a championship among those near the cut line?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to watch, and you and I have both been watching this cut line for the last several races, and over the last several weeks, it's been very interesting to see what happens, because we've had drivers that have been above the cut line have problems and then get dropped below, and then others find good success and jump in, and right now, it's hard to tell who's going to make it and who's not, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out over the next several weeks.
Absolutely. So, with that being said, we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 32 laps of racing action at Watkins Glen, with 2 drivers actually setting identical lap times for pole position. Mark Davey and Echo Evans-Ross, the 2 main protagonists at Indianapolis a couple weeks ago. Davey gets pole position on account of the fact that he is higher in the points. Jeffrey Finguy, Stephen Gale, Lane Sanders complete the top 5, but the entire top 15s within about half a second of each other, so I fully expect any one of these drivers to be contending for the win by the time we get to lap 32.
Oh, absolutely. And you got to throw in the pit stops. We've seen pit stops do interesting things to people before, so who knows? It might bring some. Each pit stop might bring new players to the game. It might just throw somebody who ends up dominating the early stages out of it. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see.
So with that being said, we have 42 drivers ready to take the green flag at Watkins Glen. We are ready to bring you that action now for 32 laps, the second to last road course race of the 2024 season. This is the 1UP Superstar Series race number 18 of 30 at Watkins Glen, and the green flag is mere moments away from getting this great race underway once again. Getting ready for some great racing action here at the Glen. It is Mark Davey and Echo Evans-Ross on the front row, getting ready for the green flag, which is now in the air. We are underway at Watkins Glen for 32 laps. It looks like the 39 actually got the better launch off the line, but Mark Davey's going to have the preferred line for much of this track. He is going to have the advantage as they head through turn 1 for the first time.
Yeah, but Echo Evans-Ross, she's holding her own. Well, was holding her own, but now, as they go into the S's, Davey's got a clear shot at the lead.
And everybody makes it through the first few corners cleanly. Mark Davey leads them onto the backstretch for the first time today. Stephen Gale's actually managed to clear Jeffrey Finguy for the runners-up spot, or the 3rd position, actually. And now they head off into the bus stop. This is a very important part of the lap to get right, and we're looking to see if anybody's had an incident there. So far, so good for the entire field.
Exactly what you want. You don't want to make a mistake on the first lap, because you make a mistake, it could mess up your day and who knows how many other people as well.
As we got a couple making moves on the inside. Jeffrey Finguy on Stephen Gale. Christian Vargas on Lane Sanders. That is for 3rd and that is for 5th as they go into the final corner now to complete the opening lap. Finguy should have to run off into the corner to try and clear the 52. They're still going to be side by side, but it will be Mark Davey leading the first lap by a comfortable margin of about 0.3 of a second.
And Lane Sanders back there was able to hold off the challenge from Vargas, so for now. But I don't think Christian's going to give up that easy.
Well, he's a 2-time champion of the sport, of course. We would expect him to not give up very easily, although he is facing stiff competition now from Ben McDonald for that 6th position. heading onto the backstretch for lap number 2. Mark Davey leads Echo Evans-Ross. Now Jeffrey Finguy makes a move under Stephen Gale, going into the bus stop. This should be cut and dried going through here, but you never know, especially at Watkins Glen. But it looks like Finguy is able to clear for third.
And looking back a little further, Zachary Fitzwater, he started 9th, and he's gotten by, looked like he got by Jack McMillan for 8th there, so he's making a few moves of his own. While, yes, he's still got a little ways to go to get up here and have a chance to win this thing, it's still early on, so who knows what he'll be able to do.
And remember, both Fitzwater and McMillan competed in the truck race earlier today, so they already have some track time. That was during a heavily overcast truck race. It's much sunnier, much clearer for this Superstar race later in the day. But as they dive it off now into turn 1 once again, Jake McMillan hanging on to the final spot in the top 10. Mark Davey with the fastest lap. That's no surprise. He's got the fresh air out front.
Yeah, fresh air, and that's usually what you need in order to be able to be fast, especially on some of those air-dependent tracks. But you got to rely on a lot more than that here.
As looks like the top 2 are starting to pull away quite a bit from the third place battle between Gale and Finguy. So this could be a 2-horse race, at least until the first round of pit stops, which should be coming at about lap 8 to 10. But so far, Mark Davey and Echo Evans-Ross are resuming their battle from Indianapolis with the 97 out in the lead. As we look now at Zachary Fitzwater in the 59, he made his way up to the 8th spot. He had a good day today so far already. He managed to make a truck start, with something he hasn't done in a while, and did solidly there. But coming out of the final corner to complete lap number 3 here in the Superstar Series, he's holding down 8th place ahead of Miles Mashburn.
Yeah, Mashburn looks like he might be getting ready to challenge Fitzy for that 8th spot.
Here he comes.
As I say it, speak of it, it'll happen.
There he goes on Zachary Fitzwater to try and get that 8th spot away. Now Fitzwater has the advantage for the left-hander in the S's. Now it swings back in Mashburn's favor. This is what is so great about Watkins Glen. The advantage swings back and forth so often here. As now Stephen Gale under fire from Lane Sanders, but he shuts the door on him quick. Now McDonald and Vargas go side by side for the bus stop.
And Mashburn was able to get by Fitzwater, and he's got 8th spot now. And honestly, I like it that they're not playing it too aggressive early.
Yeah, but here comes Sanders. He doesn't want to waste much time. He's going to the inside of Stephen Gale, trying to get the 4th spot away, because he wants to get close to that points lead, considering Joshua Michaels started deeper in the field. He's the points leader going in. Sanders wants to pick up as much time as he possibly can here, or as much points as he possibly can, preferably both. And it looks like he's going to try to make the pass, as it looks like we've had an incident somewhere on the track, because there's A.J. Jones leaving the pit lane, going a lap down in the process.
Yeah, that's real unfortunate for him. We were talking during the Pocono race about how he needed a good run. He got a good run, and now this is going to pretty much undo it. It looks like Keon Daly's got issues, and
Roberto Crown Jr. in the 55 as well. He must have been involved in this somehow. And Zayden Davidson in the 4 car, in addition to them. So we will get your replays of all the incidents that take place in this event. They will just take place after the checkered flag flies. We want to make sure we don't miss any of the live action during the race. But looks like A.J. Jones has settled back in. He is a lap down, but hopefully he can salvage something out of this race yet.
And you saw there, Cale Tescar Jr. had a good race going at Pocono, and then the motor just lets go and collects a couple of people in. And that really was just unfortunate for all involved. But higher hopes for him today as we look back at the leaders.
And so far, Mark Davey is able to extend his lead over Echo Evans-Ross. It was a couple tenths. Now it's up to over half a second. And he's starting to drop Echo Evans-Ross into the clutches of Jeffrey Finguy, who is gaining time on the top 2. He has broken away from the battle between Gale and Sanders for 4th spot. This could be a 3-car battle before long, and they want to make these passes quickly before we get to the round of pit stops.
Yeah, this is what you want to do. You're going to get all the positions you can, because sometimes positions matter during pit stops. Actually, I've noticed it matters quite a bit depending on what your strategy is.
But here comes Lane Sanders. He wants to make the pass on the racetrack, but he doesn't quite have the momentum out of the carousel. He tucks in behind Stephen Gale for the moment, but he's still doing a good job in 5th place, coming off a win at Pocono, of course. But as they make their way through the final few corners to complete lap number 6, Mark Davey has led them all, and where have we seen this before? Mark Davey and Echo Evans-Ross leading a race, 1-2, and I swear we've seen this in Indianapolis.
We did see it in Indianapolis, and Echo Evans-Ross came out on top in that battle. It's a matter of what's going to happen this time around, especially since it looks like Finjay wants to play spoiler on this battle.
He certainly does. He has caught Echo Evans-Ross from quite a distance back, so this 92 is very fast. I wonder what he'll have in store for the 97 if he gets by Echo Evans-Ross here, maybe into the bus stop, because he's really close now.
Yeah, doesn't look like he's going to make any moves here. Might just be waiting for the right moment because he knows he's got a gap on 4th and 5th. That'll allow him to have a little time to size up the 39.
So we will see how this works because Finguy is closing in on the 39. He can take his time. It's still quite early in this race. We're only now approaching quarter race distance. As Sanders, he's been stuck behind this 52 longer than he would have liked. And I think he thinks the 52 is holding him up a bit because he wants to be racing with Finguy, Evans-Ross, and Mark Davey. But he needs to get by Stephen Gale first. And here he comes to the inside to complete lap number 7 here.
Yeah, but the problem he's been having is most of that time, that 52 has been just strong enough to be able to do something about keeping him moving.
But it looks like now he's finally able to make the pass stick on Stephen Gale. He might have a little opposition coming back through the S's, but I think coming onto the backstretch, he should be able to clear. Yes, he does. So Sanders now up to 4th. Let's see what he can do to try and chase down the top 3, who have pulled away by about 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's got a lot of work to do now, and so does Ben McDonald, because he's got to get by the 52 as well here. So, and speaking of getting by people,
here comes Finguy on Echo Evans-Ross for the runners-up spot. This has been a great day for these 3 already. They've pulled quite a big gap over the rest of the field. I'm curious to see who's going to make this race interesting between Finguy and Evans-Ross. Here they come. As we've got takers on pit road already, this is the earliest time in the pit window, and Stephen Gale's the first of the leaders to come in.
Stephen Gale, Ortiz.
Couple of
Looks like
making their way in.
They're the only ones out of the top 10.
Devin Fair's coming in. He was just outside the top 10. Ricky Freeman Jr., Chris Lattimore looks like he also came in, as Roberto Crown Jr. looks to be quite off the pace in that 55. I would not be surprised if the officials are taking a look at him, perhaps for minimum speed.
And again, he had a really good showing at Pocono, but then he just absolutely lost it all with the mechanical failure, and this just continues the rough go he's been having.
Well, and we haven't heard the team's status for next year, so we're just hoping they're able to stick around, because Roberto Crown Jr. is a great talent in the series. He just needs a little luck to go his way for a change. But heading off into the final few corners now, Finguy has cleared Echo Evans-Ross, and now they're all coming into the pits this time to cover off the threat of the undercut. I'm curious to see where Stephen Gale cycles out now that everybody else is coming to pit road.
Everybody who hasn't already gone to pit road for damage, like 31 there, but his position's not going to matter right now. This
is what I worry about, though, because we saw this during the truck race as well. A big stack-up coming into the pits, although now we've got an eye on Stephen Gale. He is trapped behind the very off-pace Roberto Crown Jr. This might prevent him from passing people on the undercut, because look, Davidson's now past him.
Yeah, this is not good. I imagine he is fuming about this car right ahead of him right now, and it's not getting any better.
So we're going to look and see where Stephen Gale is. There they come down the front straightaway, but it looks like Mark Davey, Jeffrey Finguy, and the rest, they will easily clear Stephen Gale's lane. Sanders now cycles out in third spot. So Echo Evans-Ross loses a couple spots in the pits, but Stephen Gale only made it back to where he was on the pit cycle because he got held up by Roberto Crown Jr., and I think the word's going to come soon that they're going to park Roberto Crown Jr. for minimum speed here.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for him. He's now just basically a rolling chicane, which it's just not ideal at all.
But for Mark Davey, so far so good in his race. He is still leading, and he's on pace for a Grand Slam at the moment. He's got the fastest lap. He's led every lap. He started on pole today. Going to be interesting to see if he can hold that for the rest of the race or not. But Stephen Gale still stuck behind Zayden Davidson, who hasn't pit again. So he will actually be the fourth place car once this all cycles through. He's going to probably get overtaken by the 52 here in a minute. But it looks as though once that happens, Gale will be back up to fourth place.
And it's, I guess, getting back into the spot that you went into the pits in isn't going to be a bad deal because you didn't gain anything, but you also didn't lose anything.
He actually did gain a spot on Echo Evans-Ross, even despite that. As McMillan and Fitzwater now try and make their way past the roadblock that is Roberto Crown Jr., and I would fully expect that the call would come in this lap to park the 55, and I think the call is going to come in right about now.
Yeah, this is getting kind of scary here.
So the call has been made. Roberto Crown Jr. black flagged for failing to maintain minimum speed. He was 5 seconds off the pace compared to everybody else, and that is just not going to cut it here at Watkins Glen. So Roberto Crown Jr. will be our first retiree from the race, and that is a real shame because he started in the midfield, was going to have a pretty good day. Now it's all done.
Yeah, we talked about it. It's bad luck that he's having, which quite a few drivers have been having that this year. I've talked before about how it seems like just about every time someone gets to take over the points lead, they have an issue. Crown's not the points leader, but still, very, very big shame.
Well, now this has backed up all these cars at the back of the field, including Alexa Luchon in the one car this week, making her first Superstar appearance in a very long time. Started in 33rd, currently running outside the top 30, but even making this race for having been out of the car so long, great job for that driver and team.
Yeah, it was nice to be able to put her in the car after admittedly a little scheduling goof up on my part. Tried to put a driver in there who couldn't make it because of Nitro National being somewhere else, but it was good to see with Alexa coming back. She was very happy to be stepping in, and I think she's already going to be driving Crossroads full time next year in the Nitro. So get more of that rust off is all this is about.
So far, so good for Crossroads Racing. However, we do have a lot of racing left to go here. 20 laps to go now. And Mark Davies' lead is 2 seconds over Jeffrey Finguy. Lane Sanders a further second and a half back in third. Then you have to go another 2 seconds back to find Stephen Gale and Nick Ortiz battling for the fourth position. So, field's getting a bit spread out now, but you come to expect that on the road courses. It's just a matter of who's going to make their second pit stop first, and when will that come?
And will the same thing happen as we saw the first cycle? A few people come in early trying to pull the undercut, and then everybody just comes in immediately and try to mess with that strategy. That's going to be a key here.
As Keon Daly exits the pits, he had some damage earlier and is making his second stop of the day. But Mark Davies is going to probably just be very close to putting him a lap down. and the margins at the front of the field, they keep getting bigger. However, Lane Sanders actually starting to close in on the 92 a little bit. They're now only a second apart.
Yeah, that's something he wants to do. We were talking about it. He wanted to be closer, although, yeah, this is a little more spread out than they were earlier when he was trying to get by Stephen Gale,
who is currently holding off Nick Ortiz. Their looks are similar, the 91 and the 54. 54 is now back in 11th place. Ortiz now in the 91, fighting Gale for the 4th spot. As we make our way around to try and complete lap number 14, man, Ortiz all over the back bumper at a 52. I think the tire fall off is starting to kick in for the 52. Remember, he was one of the first on pit road, and it might be coming back to haunt him now.
Yeah, that's one of the downsides of doing the undercut. Even if it's just by one lap, you wear out your tires that much sooner than everybody who pits after.
So we'll see if he's able to hang on for the moment. So far he is, as we enter lap 15 of this race. We're closing in on halfway. And Mark Davey has still led every lap so far. He is still on pace for a Grand Slam in this race, which we haven't had in a long time. So it would be nice to see. However, there's still a long time to go in this race, and a lot can still happen in the meantime.
And you never know at a road course what's going to happen. We've seen it in the past. Somebody gets into somebody, and they're both off in the grass or hitting the guardrail, whatever. You just got to keep on your toes at these places.
So, but look at the gap Lane Sanders has been able to close in on Jeffrey Finguy. He's got the gap now to about 0.7 of a second. It was a second and a half a few laps ago, so he's been picking off lap time here. The question now becomes, will he catch the 92 before the next round of pit stops begins?
Yeah, that's going to be fun to watch. Every pit stop that's under the green flag is fun to watch, unless you're somebody who has no.
Yeah, now the gap between the 92 and the 87 is half a second. Now this is something we've definitely seen before. Finguy and Sanders at Watkins Glen, nose to tail. Wonder what can happen this time.
Oh yeah, best buds right here. We keep saying it. It's all in jest, really. But these guys getting in a battle again at Watkins Glen. Yeah, like you said, it's a familiar story.
But so far, they're keeping it much cleaner than that day in 2021. So far, so good for these two. They're still 2.5 seconds off the leading Honda of Mark Davey, but they're doing a good job regardless. Next time they cross the start-finish line, it will be halfway in this race, and there's a lot still to play for. Even though Mark Davey has a big lead, it's not insurmountable.
And also not set in stone that he is going to win. You never say who the winner is going to be before the checkered flag flies, because as we see, Stephen Gale be the first one on pit road yet again,
and he's bringing Devin Fair with him again. So not a real surprise, but I'm curious to see if this time Stephen Gale will be able to make the undercut work. He was 6.5 seconds off the lead, so I'm curious to see where he'll cycle out.
And with the 55 out of the picture, I can imagine he'll probably have a little bit of an easier time about this.
So here's Gale and here's Fair. They're pulling into their boxes now. I think Bobo Jones also came in on this lap with them, but he was right at the back of the field. There he is, right in that blue car up there. So only 3 cars came in on this lap. I would expect a lot more to come in this time.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be quite a bit of the same picture, just same story, different chapter kind of thing.
So we'll see, but I would believe that everybody would come in this time. And yep, here comes Mark Davey into the pit lane. He commits. Sanders and Finguy commit as well. I would expect Ortiz to commit as well back in 4th spot, as Bobo Jones just now exits the pits. But we got someone staying on the racetrack. Ben McDonnell in the 12. He is going to deny Mark Davey the chance at a Grand Slam here because he just led that lap.
And it looked like he brought Christian Vargas, Zachary Fitzwater staying out with them. I'm curious if anybody else besides these 3 did it.
Patrick Smith did it. Sam Donotto, Julio Cesar stayed out as well. There are a couple of guys trying this out, actually. DeLello, Dylan Young, Runkle, a lot of cars, actually, near the back of the field stayed out. So, curious to see how this is going to work for them.
Yeah, it looks like the field was kind of split on it. Bit unevenly, I might add.
So, Ben McDonald leads this race. He's got about a 3-second lead over Fitzwater, but remember, these guys have to pit again, so I would expect them to do that within the next lap or so. And keep in mind, after this pit cycle, we still have one more set of pit stops to make. This is going to be a busy day for the crews, but a worthy one if they can get their driver to victory lane.
And I would expect here, we'll see, and yep, there he goes. Down to pit road, Vargas, Fitzwater. I'd expect everybody else who stayed out with him. Oh, notice back here, I see back there behind Bouchard, Luchon stayed out. I'm curious as to what the one crew's thoughts are on this. Maybe get into the top 30 at least.
Well, Stephen Gale's currently enjoying himself out by himself because right now Zayden Davidson on an alternate strategy is holding up Ortiz, Devin Fair, and a couple others. So this is going to be interesting to see where everyone cycles out once Davidson makes the trip to pit road. But here comes McDonald, here comes Vargas, here comes Fitzwater and the rest down pit road. Where are the leaders going to come out? Because here is Mark Davey crossing the start-finish line now, and they're still on pit road. Yeah, he's going to easily clear everybody on pit road.
Yeah, that's the thing. But depending on how far the field gets stretched out from this pit cycle, those drivers will be the ones with the freshest tires. Gales will fall off first, along with Fair and everybody else who pit with them. Well, just one other person, but then everybody else after that who pit after that, and then those who are just coming on pit road now might be able to gain something out of this by the time power wear sets in.
Will be interesting to see because Davidson's still holding up a lot of people back here. Ortiz does now clear to 4. Evans Ross next up. Devin Fair trying to do the same, as is Ben McDonald. This 4 car is on an alternate strategy, and it probably isn't going to get him very far. But he had no choice after the crash earlier on that we will show you at the race's conclusion. But now Devin Fair and Echo Evans Ross going to try and take a peek out, and they're going to go 3 wide through this corner. That's bold, and I think it's time for him to pit now. Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he saw that they were going 3 wide on him, and he just like, you know what, I've had enough.
So Davidson pits. That opens the door now for all these guys to try and gain more track position, because now Nick Ortiz is about 5 seconds behind Stephen Gale in 4, so that's a lot of ground to make up. But Mark Davey continues to lead. His lead is now 2.5 seconds over Finguy and Sanders. And I think the 92 and the 87, they might have to start working together to try and chase down the 97.
Oh, and they're not gonna be too happy about that, given their history. But sometimes you got to put differences aside in order to take down a common foe.
And so far, they're putting in good lap time, so maybe the 92's letting the 87 draft off them down the straights, trying to give them a little bit of extra clean air in the corners, so they can try and chase down Mark Davey, because at this rate, they're going to get there.
And if they keep cooperating like this, they will, because this is what you were talking about. A little bit of cooperation here, despite the displeasure they've had with each other in the past, because it's going to take more than just one person to get that 97 out of the lead.
However, they did just gain a lot of time on the 97. The gap's now 1.9 seconds between Davey and Finguy, so the plan is working for these two. They just got to keep at it for at least until the final round of pit stops, which should be coming in a couple laps.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that we're already getting ready for that final pit cycle here shortly. So, but if these two can make this work, I wouldn't be surprised if once they get the 97 out of the way, these two start fighting really hard with each other.
I mean, it's possible, but I think they want to get past the 97 before they start fighting each other. You don't want to make any unnecessary battles out of this. So We'll see how much they gain on this lap, because they're still working together here, trying to draft off each other down these straightaways, like this one right here. We'll see what the gap is, because Davey crosses the line now. And yeah, they just chopped off another 0.6 of a second. They are closing in a hurry. The question is, what lap will they catch, and how will they try and get past? Because next time by, it'll be 10 laps to go.
10 laps to go just that quick. That's what happens when you don't worry about things like caution flags or other things like that. It's one of those deals where you got to really put every bit of effort you can into catching the leader when you're this far behind.
And they're still working together through the bus stop heading down into the carousel, so I would not be surprised if these two are right on the back of the 97 very soon. We're coming to 10 laps to go this time. They're not quite in their final window yet, but they're getting really close to it. And my question now becomes this: who's the first to make their last pit stop?
That is a very good question, because this is going to be the money stop. You don't want to screw this up, and you don't want to take a chance of pitting too soon or pitting too late, and somebody's strategy just causing you to lose a whole bunch of spots.
Well, they didn't gain as much on this lap. They only gained 0.2 of a second, but they're still gaining a decent amount of time, and now they're nose to tail heading through the S's. Normally, that's a bad thing for the car right in the third position behind the 92, but we'll see how it works, because now that they're on the back straightaway, the 87 should be able to gain a lot of time.
Yeah, this is actually pretty interesting to watch, even though I'm pretty sure the final pit stop cycle is going to come through before we find out how well this will work. But it's done a pretty good job so far.
And we can also report something else that happened a few laps ago. Zachary DeLello is now out of this race with an accident of his own. Something must have gone wrong with the 08 Toyota, because now he is listed as out of the race in 41st place. We'll get you a replay of that once the checkered flag flies, as Finguy and Sanders try and undercut Davey here. This is their last stop of the day.
They had to be communicating with each other through their spotters on that one, because that was so well coordinated. Look at Gale. He decides the undercut's not worked out the greatest for him, so he's going to try something different.
So that is a bold move from Finguy and Sanders. They are pitting pretty much by themselves here. Well, they're bringing Emma Kruger in the 70 with them. We'll see if anyone else decided to come in on this lap, but this is a bold move. Yeah, Samet Oskins in the pits. Cale Tescar Jr. is coming in. So these guys are going for the undercut, hoping it will pay dividends, and Bilbo Jones also comes in.
Well, not too surprising to see Bobo come in. It was kind of surprising to see the other two that stuck to their guns with it for cycle 2, that being Stephen Gale and Devin Fair, decide to try something different here. And well, I guess sometimes you just gotta make changes in order to see if it'll work.
So Mark Davey, does he react to this? No, he does not. He's going for a tire offset to try and catch them at the end of the race. So we saw this in the Truck Series race as well. We'll see how it pays off for the Superstar drivers here today. But now Stephen Gale pits, and he's bringing Devin Fair with him. So they're a lap late to the party this time. I'm curious to see how this plays out, though, for the 97.
I'm very curious about the fact that quite a few people are staying out for the overcut strategy here. This is definitely vastly different from what we had the first two times.
And yeah, what I see here is Davey, Ortiz. Now we actually have a Louisville Motorsports 1-2 at the moment. But these guys are going for a tire offset to where they have the fresh tires at the end of the race, to where once Finguy and Sanders start to wear their stuff out, they'll be able to breeze past at the end. We saw that in the truck race, but I'm curious to see if it'll have the same effect here.
Yeah, it is something to really be mindful of, because, of course, different vehicles, but, you know, it's really going to be just fun to watch, because what could work in one series could work against the other, as we see now Davey coming in.
He didn't really have a choice, because the 92 and the 87, they were catching him very quickly. So Davey pits, Keon Daly pits ahead of him. Ortiz comes in. Ben McDonald's going to go for a mega tire offset here, and he's bringing Fitzwater with him. Okay, game on at the front of the field now. I'm curious to see where Davey cycles out in comparison to Finguy and Sanders.
McMillan, Vargas, and a handful of others are really trying something here.
Patrick Smith's doing it.
And it looks like
Dylan Young's also staying out.
It looks like those are the Runkle and a couple others there. This
mostly at the back, so they got nothing to lose by doing this. But we're looking for Jeffrey Finguy and Lane Sanders at the back in the background as Mark Davey completes his pit stop. He's coming out of pits. There they are, coming into turn 1, and they should easily clear the 97 through the first turn.
And this, well, they didn't get as far out as they would have liked, but this is going to work now. Now here's the real challenge. Are they going to work with each other till the end to keep him behind and then fight each other, or are they just going to say screw it and go for it?
That's one of the big questions that remain here. As McDonald and Fitzwater, well, McDonald pits. Fitzwater's going for a bonus point here. He's going for the absolute longest tire offset here. I believe he came into this pit cycle around 11th place. Curious to see where this drops at.
This is, I don't know what I think of this, because the longer you stay on those worn out tires, the tougher it's going to be to keep up. I mean, he's got quite the cushion for the ones who are going to end up cycling back to the lead here soon enough, but that's an interesting strategy, and I know he's not alone on it.
Oh, absolutely not. Fitzwater stayed out along with Patrick Smith in the 22. I think those two were the ones who hung it out as long as they could. So now they've got to be coming in this time, because next time they cross the start-finish line, it'll be 5 laps to go. And once they do make it back to the pits, that will hand the lead to Jeffrey Finguy in the 92 and Lane Sanders right behind him. Like you said, will they be able to play nice for the rest of this race, or will they be battling hard for the race win?
Yeah, that's the question that will be answered here soon enough, as now Fitzy finally comes in and brings Smith with him.
Yeah, that they really didn't have much of a choice. They were on fumes at that point. So those two pit, and looks like Runkle and Mahendra also stayed out with them. They're going to come in, and a few others as well. Bolton's having a rough race. That might drop him out of the top 15 when it's all said and done. But this is now the battle for the lead. Lane Sanders chasing Jeffrey Finguy. Mark Davey a couple seconds behind, but he does have much fresher tires.
And she and the one crew decided to try the super overcut strategy, see if it did any good, and the last of the ones who stayed out the longest to be able to go in as you said, Finguy Sanders 1-2 now.
So now it's just a 1v1 match, unless the 97 can get there in the last 5 laps, which never say never. We did just watch a very exciting truck race earlier today, but this is the Superstar Series. These guys know what they're doing, and Finguy and Sanders are among the best in the best. I would not be surprised if they settle it amongst themselves. However, if these two crash into each other, battling for this win, and repeat what happened in 2021, that opens the door for the 97 to swoop past and steal one.
I wouldn't say steal so much. If it were Stephen Gale, I would say steal, because Davies was dominating for the longest time until this latest pit cycle. So I think that the one that could get away from him today could come back if these two get together ahead of him.
But notice how Jeffrey Finguy is now pulling away from Lane Sanders. I don't think they're playing with each other anymore. I think the 92 is going foot to the floor, trying to pull away from him, trying to extend his lead, because now it's up to almost a second as we have 4 laps of racing to go.
And I know Lane would love nothing more than to make it a back-to-back win after Pocono, but in order to do that, he has to catch back up to that 92 and keep that 97 behind him.
So Zachary Fitzwater cycles back out after his pit stop in 12th place. I'm curious to see if he can crack the top 10 again in only 4 laps. he's got the freshest tires in the field. I believe he's capable of it, but we'll just have to wait and see. As Mark Davey is closing very quickly to the back of the 87, I think Sanders might have used his stuff up too early, trying to get by the 92.
That's exactly what Davey was hoping for, if that's the case, because these two fight each other and get to using up their stuff. It could open up a door, but then again, if Lane fights hard enough, I don't think Davey will be able to catch Finn Guy without something going on.
And here's the thing. For Mark Davey, like you said, he has to pass the 87 as quickly as humanly possible, because now we have 3 laps of racing to go. The gap between the top 2 is stayed the same, but Mark Davey is closed in at a huge rate. He's now only a second and a half behind the 92. He needs to pass this 87 very quickly and then set off after Jeffrey Finn Guy. He cannot waste any time battling Lane Sanders.
No, he cannot. And like I said, Lane, he wants to keep up this momentum, and every position matters, and every point that position awards at the end of the race matters too. And second place is looking real pretty right now, although he has a mirror full at the moment.
And remember, 5 points more for second than for third place, so that is what they are racing for. But for Mark Davey, he's got to realize that the win is right there in front of him. He just needs to pass this 97. He's got a great run here going into the next penultimate corner, but he does not take it. Could that have cost the 97 dearly?
Well, we're about to find out, because we're coming down to like 3 to go now. This is going to be, actually 2 to go, I think now. This is going to be big if he gets held up for a lot.
So this is going to be close, because Mark Davey now all over the back bumper of Lane Sanders, I should say. However, Jeffrey Finn Guy starting to pull away from these two. That is not what Mark Davey needs. He needs to clear this 87 in a very short amount of time if he's going to give himself any time remaining to catch the 92, pass him, and then go on to win this race, which he has dominated.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Although I see the 20 right there getting into the picture. I don't know if he's going to be a factor in this, but the fact that he's in the picture now when he was way ahead of the leaders before should be a slight concern for Finn Guy here going into the final lap.
But we're coming to the white flag, and if Finn Guy can pass the 20 with little difficulty, he will have a buffer between himself and the battling pair of Sanders and Davey. But now, through the final corner, Jeffrey Finn Guy looking to make a little bit of history here in the 1-Up Superstar Series, because now he faces the white flag with 1 lap to go at Watkins Glen.
White flag and another trophy is all he wants, and all he's got to do is hope that 87 and 97 do not catch him, and that 20 does not mess him up.
I don't think they are going to catch him, because they're embroiled in a battle for second place. All Finn Guy has to do is navigate the last 3/4 of this lap, and this race is his. And that would be a big, big win, because for so long, he and Christian Vargas have been in a battle for the lead on the all-times wins list. They currently sit at 13 apiece. Finn Guy looking to be all by himself on top of that list for the first time ever.
Yeah, these two keep fighting it out, and it's I mean Finn Guy and Vargas, but these two also keep fighting it out, and that's just making Finn Guy a happy camper looking in his rear view. And I really don't think Daly's going to be an issue.
And here comes Davey to the inside of Sanders, but he left it too late. He's not going to have enough time to get to the 92. So coming through the final few corners for the final time, Jeffrey Finn Guy, one of the greatest to ever get behind the wheel of a superstar car. He's going to get his 14th career win here today at Watkins Glen. That puts him at the top of the all-times win list by himself. Final margin of victory, 1.1 seconds over Mark Davey, who just got past Lane at the line to get second. But Mark Davey led so much of this race, and that's got to hurt for him to not get the checkered flag at the end.
Yeah, that probably hurts just about as much as getting beat at Indianapolis, because he put in so much effort there as well, and similar result.
So he gets second, Lane Sanders third. That'll help him out in the points. Stephen Gale gets his best result of the season in 4th place, well behind the leaders, but still a great race for him. Nick Ortiz puts 2 Louisville cars in the top 5, just ahead of Ben McDonald, who finishes in the 6th position. Devin Fair, solid day. We didn't mention him that much. He comes home 7th. We mentioned Miles Mashburn even less, but he brings it home in the 8th spot. Outside pole sitter Echo Evans-Ross fell to 9th at the end, and Zachary Fitzwater did get that top 10 run he was looking for with that tire offset. He brings it home in the top 10 in 10th place. But boy, Jeffrey Finguy timed that strategy to perfection. He worked with Lane Sanders while it was convenient for him, and then after that final pit stop, he just took off.
That's all he needed. Like I said, if they got to fighting each other, Davey was going to have a shot, but it wasn't the best shot he thought he had.
But we're not done yet. We still... Oh, it looks like Austin Runkles had a little problem. He did not finish this race in the 5 car. That is another thing we're going to get you a replay of, because now is the time we normally bring that to you. Tough break for the 5, but so it goes at road courses like Watkins Glen. We're going to get you those replays in a moment, starting with that early incident that involved A.J. Jones and Keon Daly and a handful of others. So it looks like it starts with Zayden Davidson and Roberto Crown Jr. This is on lap 3, and coming through the final corner, oh, he got into the back of Tescar. That sent them both spinning into the pit lane. Very bizarre for an incident to take place there. Crown got sideways, and that's where A.J. Jones and Daly made contact a little further back. Get you a look at this from high above. You can see Crown, you can see Davidson and Cale Tescar Jr. directly ahead. Davidson went a little too deep into the last corner. That's what he got him sideways. And then Crown just slammed into the pit wall. And then that's where Jones and Daly made their contact. So a lot happened in a very short amount of time. So this was the Jones and Daly contact. It looks like same story here. Jones just came down on the 20, and they just made a little contact there. And that sent the 31 into a spin, ultimately ruined his day, and the 20s as well. That's unfortunate for both those guys, because they were on pace to have at least a decent midfield day. So this was Zachary DeLello. This was around lap 20, and it doesn't look like anything's wrong with the 08 currently. He's going through the final corner now. Oh, but he commits way too late into the... Oh, boy. Big contact for Zachary DeLello into the barrels. Thank goodness those barrels are there. Otherwise, he may have been seriously hurt. But he committed to that pit entry way too late, and that ultimately put an end to his day. So this was actually coming to the white flag for Austin Runkle, and oh, his engine just blew going into the first turn. That is heartbreak for Austin Runkle, because he was having a decent day, but it all goes awry on the final lap of the race. And then look at all these guys here, just trying to swerve on either side. That could have been bad.
Yeah, there's the point where if cautions are being thrown, this race would have ended under yellow. But real tough break for Runkle.
And we've got one more to show you. That'll come in a moment. But that's a tough break for all these guys involved here. So this is the last incident we got to show you. It's Cale Tescar Jr., and you really got a feel for the Zero. They were having a decent day. He was coming into the pits, and Dylan Young just sent it deep into the corner, and he just plows the Zero into the safer barrier in the final corner. And it looks like he's got a broken steering arm as well on that Zero, because he tries to make it into the pits, doesn't quite make it.
And you got to wonder if that's where Runkle got the damage that broke the motor, because that happened. That motor went after this incident, so you gotta wonder.
And that is a tough break for Cale Tescar Jr. He's been waiting so long for a good day, and he was this close to getting it today. But for now, that's going to do it for us from Watkins Glen. What a great race we had, honestly, despite all those incidents. And Darlington's coming up next, the Severn 500 Throwback Weekend. That's a fantastic day as far as I'm concerned. We're looking forward to that as much as you are. So, from James Ellison and from myself as well, we say goodbye from Watkins Glen. We'll see you again at Darlington next week. But congratulations to Jeffrey Finguy. He pulled off the great strategy today, and now he is alone atop the all-time win list. 14 career wins for Jeffrey Finguy.